Okay, let's talk about how I made this little simple track using Koala, a couple drum samples, and a piano sample. All right, give me 1 second, I'll start over and show you. So here I have simple, so I drummed, okay, and here I did a 2-bar and I duplicated it. And then what I did was remove the snare. And I use this new thing called chants, which wasn't my thing, but I'm learning that it can benefit you in like little simple ways, like particularly using it in the sense of like here I have a double snare, but I don't want that double snare to hit every 4. I want it to really hit like on the 8th. But instead of duplicating the track, then deleting, which is the way you could do it if you don't want to use this, just duplicate it and then just take out the parts you don't want. That's fine too. But this, if you touch it and then you drag it down, I got it at 50%. So 50% means it's going to hit 50% of the time, right? So that's pretty much just the drums. Simple, basic. I always zoom, if you zoom in, you'll see that I always highlight the whole thing and nudge them just a little bit to the right. Same thing with snares. Highlight the whole thing. I nudge them a little bit to the left just to give it kind of that swing and then to give the snares a little off. You don't have to do it on everyone. That's the way I did it. All right, moving on to the next step, or next thing I did. This looks like a mess, right? I'll show you what it all is. So honestly, it's the same sample. I sampled a Spitfire Audio felt piano. In fact, there's a free one if you have a computer. There's a free one called the soft piano. That sounds really good. And you could grab that. Or you could just take any one-shot sample and make sure you get it in C, and I'll tell you why. It's just better, so you don't have to be doing all pitching and stuff. Get a clean piano sample in C. And this is more directed towards those that don't have a piano app, because technically you could do the same thing with a piano app. You could just pick your favorite piano app, sample the C note, and you got it, right? So here it is. It's hard to hear. I'm only running it through here. I'm not running it through the big speakers. Let me turn it up as loud as I can get it. So that's all it is. And I made 2 copies. Why did I make 2 copies? Well, the first one is going to be for the chords. And the second one is going to be for the melody, because I want them to record on different tracks, right? So the melody, I can take it out when I want to and bring it in when I want to. So that's one thing you can do. All right, Tonality. I'm using Tonality because 2 reasons. One, it's a cheaper app than Scalar. Scalar is more complicated and has more in-depth stuff on it. Tonality can be complicated, but it also can be very simple. And the most important reason is I don't have to use AUM if I use Tonality, because it works as a slide over and in split screen. So you see I have it in split screen right now. So I'm not going to go into how to do slide over and split screen. You guys, if you're on an iPad, you can figure that out. It's probably a ton of videos. All right, so what I did was I went into scale chords and I picked B flat, Dorian. Why did I pick that? Well, Dorian is used in a lot of R&B, soul music. That's my vibe. That's why I picked it. Okay, pick B flat just because I wanted to. And then I picked 7ths because that's a good thing for jazz, R&B, kind of good vibes like that. So I created a demo version. So let's pull that up. So here's the chords. So these are the chords the way they come in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right there in the order of the way the scale will go. But they also, wait, these are 9ths. Did I do 9ths or did I do 7ths? Now I'm tripping. Hold on a second. Let me go back. Okay, I did 9ths, not 7ths. So one of the things in Tonality is if you click down here and click Settings, go to Sound and MIDI, there is a sound font that's built into it. I'm going to disable it. I'm going to turn it on so you can hear it. Okay, but I'm not trying to record that sound. I'm trying to record this piano here using this as a controller. So I am going to go back to settings and disable the sound font. So that way it doesn't. The MIDI you have to make sure send MIDI out is on. So because you're sending the MIDI out to here, okay? This should recognize it automatically. Once you go into the piano, it will. You'll see that. So what I did was, I'll show you my editing. If you hit the pencil icon, you can edit it. And you see these pink notes? Hopefully you can see that with this light pollution I got going on. The pink notes are the notes in the scale. So any of those notes can be played at the same time and they work, right? I use these tools right here. You can see them, but I don't use them in this way. I'll show you how I use them. Down here in this corner, you can swipe up or down and go through these tools. And I've showed this in other videos, so watch my tonality videos. But this tool here allows you to pick voicings, to get voicings that it thinks are close to this voice. So that's what I did. I fixed the first voice exactly the way I wanted it to sound. I like that. Like, here it is. So let me just show you what it sounds like. We're set to chromatic, you notice? Hear that? So I was like, ooh, I like that voice. Cool. Then I hold this down, touch that voice, and then touch each pad. And then each one will get, it moves them around to get them close to that voice, which it thinks will do. And sometimes it works. Sometimes you have to make adjustments. Whatever the case may be, that's what I did. So that's how I got where I'm at now. If you want to move single notes back and or forward or back in the thing, use this one and then this one, right? This is to move a whole octave up or down, right? Okay. So now that you got that, you see how I built this. Okay, using ninth chords. When you go into here, hit the piano, hit the first one. Make sure you change that to chromatic. These are all cool, but I wish they would put Dorian and other things that are used in, because some of these I'm like, what? I can figure out what the scale is, no big deal. But the only three in here other than chromatic I would use is like minor, major, and pentatonic. The rest of them are kind of like little one-off chords, progressions. Anyway, just something that I'd like to see change, but whatever. That's your velocity if you want to move up and down on the keyboard. All right, so you're in chromatic. So now you'll notice I didn't even do a lot of extraness. Here it is. It just works. So I would suggest using Tonality. It's generally cheaper. Goes on sale quite often too if you need it cheaper. And yeah. Okay, so I recorded the chords the way I wanted, which was pretty much just here. That's it. 1, 2, 1. This is 6 chord. 1, 6, 7, 7. 1, 6, 4, 4. That's the pattern I played. So you'll see it in there. I'm gonna click in, and there it is. There's all those chords. You make a mistake, highlight those sections. You make a mistake, adjust the notes however you need. You'll notice there's some notes that look like they're not all perfect. Good. That's a reason for that. In Tonality, if you go into there's two settings. There's a setting down here we looked at, and the setting up here. Click on that setting. And I talked about this before too. Turn on the trigger velocity sensitivity. So you're touching a tablet. There's no velocity when I touch it. But you can turn on it and set it how you want it. You can also set on, I don't have it on, but the randomized chord velocity. I have the trigger velocity sensitivity on. Or you can do the randomized attack, randomized note velocity, and you'll get a really nice variety in your sound so it doesn't sound so sterile and bland. But I didn't do all that for this one purpose. So here you have it. You'll see. Okay. Now, what did I do from there? I went with the melody. I wanted a melody. So typically you could go outside of the, you could use B flat and not do Dorian. You could pick something else to do the melody on. I'll show you what I did. So remember that second piano is right here the second piano note, I should say. I switched this to a Dorian scale. How did I get there? Let's show you that. Scale notes. So you pick scale notes, pick B flat, Dorian, there it is. Or you can use other stuff like Phrygian or, whichever one you want. I use Dorian. So Dorian scale. There's the scale. They give you an octave and the extra note. So what do we do from here? Well, this is an octave that is playing. Hold on a second, let me. Okay, let's find out where this octave is. We're gonna bring the piano up. And by the way, that's a good thing to have so you know where you're at. So basically we're right around in the fourth octave from middle C, right? Or not the fourth octave, we're up an octave from middle C, playing the scale. So I'm not gonna play the scale just straight through. I'm gonna pick notes, and I played what sound good to my ear, right? And that's what I came up with. I didn't go in and try to strategically place these notes or anything. I just played what it sounds like, record that in, and then if you need to make an adjustment, you make adjustments. Like this wasn't exactly this way, but when I played this first part, I thought, oh, I should repeat that, and I changed it. I just highlighted that section and duplicated it or repeated it over here. You just make adjustments according to it. So here's what it looks like. So there you have it. Now I'm getting a phone call if you hear that. So this is just a simple way to record directly in Koala and using Tonality without having to go a bunch of places, right? Without having to use AUM. Of course, I use AUM because I like to mix it, and sometimes I want to use different instruments, and I would still have to sample that instrument if I wanted to. So if I'm going to do all that, then I might as well just use the instrument there. But I have a piano thing that I've built. I'll show you real quick, where I have one shot to all these different pianos from different software I have on the computer, like the Native Instruments Nor Felt. So you'll see I have different ones that I've collected, and I just get the middle C good, make a good sound, and now I have that piano access to it on Koala, because I'm not gonna tote my computer around right now to do music like that. No, just not. There's, when I just want to sit and chill and make something kind of like in a sketch pad. This is more what that is. So there you have it. That's a simple way that I use Tonality and Koala together to record. And I've done videos like this in the past, but I felt like I would go ahead and update it because there's been some changes in Koala and some, and sometimes just changes that I've learned or things that I've learned that you can do better. Definitely use the same. If you want to do a change the piano for the melody or change a note, use something else, that's fine. But if you want to play it like you have the piano and you're playing all the way through, use the same one. Just make a second copy. Don't try to do it on one, because it's not like the MIDI sequence in here is really easy to adjust. It can be challenging. Oops, and I just added something. Let's say you want to have, hold on a second, let me get out of here. Let's say you want one copy without the melody. Well, now you can do that, right? The melody is on this one right here, okay? So now you can delete that, and now you have a copy where it's just the chords, and then a copy where it's the melody. So right, then you want to switch over to the melody one. The other option is, simply put, you could just use the mute switch, right? But you got to remember to mute this one. And The labels do work. So you could go back here. And label this one as melody. Chord. So that you know which one is which. If you decide to go with the whole mute thing, right? So playing it. And then when you want to bring it back in, so you saw you just hold mute, touch it, then bring it back in by doing this. I mean, touch it. Sorry. When you want to bring it back, just touch this. There you go. All right. Simple way to get your chords, melodies using Tonality. I would use Tonality probably the most, and you can do this on your phone too. It's a little bit more challenging on the phone just because you don't have any real estate to do the slide over. I don't think you can do it on the iPhone because it doesn't have that extra ability. But it's nothing wrong with it. Whichever way you decide to roll with it, just do it what works for you. If you're on the iPhone and you have AUM, just do it in AUM. And you can do the same thing. If you don't have AUM, then you still should be able to do it with Tonality either way. But I haven't really tried that much. I think I've always used an iPad to do it, or an iPad to do that. Usually I'll go to AUM if I'm going to do chords any other way. The other option is record the chords into a single note or one of the sample squares and then chop them up. There's multiple ways I guess you could do that, but whichever works for you and makes it easier for you to do it. All right, that's it. I'm off. I spent more time than I wanted to on this video, but it's pretty simple to use Tonality with Koala. All right.